Welcome back, part 3. Following the last video, we got a road test done, successful road test. After that, we went and filled it up with fuel. So now we can start addressing some other bits and bobs. Oil leak, suspect we've got a coolant leak, and hopefully get some service items done. And that's about it really. I think there's got to find some more bits and bobs along the way. But yeah, we're getting in the garage as we speak. Let's crack on. Right, so back on the C63, we are going to address an oil leak we've got, which is coming from this side rocker cover. These plastic rockers are common for cracking or splitting, so we're going to take it off and inspect it. Hopefully it's just the gasket and not that, but we will find out. It also looks like it's leaking from this cam cover as well, so we've got a gasket for that. We're going to inspect that, we've got a gasket for that, and that's another job done. Straight away I can tell you that they're not the correct bolts for the coil packs. They're for the aluminium coil packs. So we'll see what we find. Right, we've managed to get the rusty bolts undone at the bottom. It's not uncommon for the ones at the bottom of the rocker cover to become rusty, if you look at this one. So what we've had to do is I had to get my chisel down there on the top of the nut and hit it just to knock it free, and then I could get an extractor in there to undo it. And I've got spares as well, but sometimes you've got to do stuff like that. But yeah, bottom rocker cover bolts on these are not uncommon to go rusty. It's not the first time I've had to do that, so this should be ready to come off. Let's have a look in here. This will actually also give us a really good opportunity to check the camshafts. Camshaft lobes and tappets are common for wearing out on these. These actually look in really good condition, so very good condition in fact. So we'll check that out as well. Another while you're in there job, if you're doing rocker cover gaskets, I would highly recommend also doing the camshaft adjuster gasket, which is that. Which, if you look here, we've dropped the front cover off and you can see that gasket is flat. It should be proud of the aluminium, as in to create a seal, whereas that is flat in that corner. It's pretty much all round, so it's probably leaking from there as well. So we'll cover in both angles. Just having an inspection of the camshafts. They are actually in really good condition. Now, apparently this engine that's been fitted has done 40,000 miles, which, going off these cam lobes, I would probably agree. Usually you get a very faint line across the middle to show you that it's starting to wear, which you usually get at 80, 100,000 miles, which I will try and show you on this camshaft. You can see this came out of a vehicle that had done 90,000. You can see that very faint line across the top. That lobe would still be good to go. However, if I go further back, you can see the result. That's had obviously a failure, but then you can see the difference. So I would agree that this is a low mileage engine that's been put in, because there's not even any faint lines on the top, so I'm quite happy with that. Just having an inspection of the rocker cover, and there is flat spots where the gasket's not been sat properly, especially there. That's where the main leak was coming from. But like I say, these are common for splitting, but usually in these back corners. So I am going to clean it and wash it all off and make sure there's no cracks before just refitting it, otherwise it will just continue to leak. We've cleaned off the rocker cover, so we're looking for cracks. So far I can't see any, but always take your time to inspect it, because I've actually had one catch me out before with a hairline crack. It's usually, that's the front, that's the back, it's usually at the back corner somewhere, whereas ours was leaking down the front, which is unusual. So I'm suspecting it's just that that gasket's been fitted wrong previously, or the rocker cover's been fitted without replacing the gasket, because the gasket does feel quite hard and brittle, so that's definitely not been changed. But so far I can't see anything, so hopefully we can reuse this and we'll save, I think these are about 300 quid. So I'll give it a better inspection and we'll get it built back up. So Nathan's refitting the camshaft cover. He's got to torque it back on.
Yeah, torque it to 9 Newton meters, get it on.
Anything low torque specification should always torque, really, especially with gaskets are involved and stuff like that. I'm going to get the new gasket on. Personally, I always put a little bit of grease on the new gaskets. A lot of people say you shouldn't do that, but I've always done it, and the reason I do it is anyone who's ever fitted one of these rocker covers will know that whichever end you start with, the opposite end's always really tight. So you have to pull the rocker cover over a bit. So I'd rather it slide on the grease than drag the seal and fold it and create a flat spot and it leak, which is maybe what's happened when it's been fitted last time. So just a little bit of grease just allows it to just slide along a tiny bit just while you manoeuvre it to get all your bolts lined up.
So we've got all the gaskets on the rocker cover now. We're just going to get it back on, torque them up to 9 Newton meters, and yeah, happy.
Another while you're in there job, we've just took the spark plugs out whilst we're in this area, and they do look like they've been replaced, but because we don't know the history of the car, we're just going to change them anyway, so we're just starting afresh. So we've got new plugs. I mean, you can see the difference. That is not actually that old, that plug, I can tell you that, but we just don't know how long it's been in there. So because we don't know the age of it, we're just going to change them. You should always fit the Mercedes recommended coil pack grease when you fit in the new plugs, which goes in the tip. That stops the coil pack seizing on top of the plug and snapping off. Mercedes tell you to do that, but they never do it from factory, so I don't know why that is. So you can see Nathan putting the special grease in the coil pack end. Right, this bank's done, rocker's on, coil pack's in. I have changed the bolts for the self-tappers to match the rocker cover. We're going to do spark plugs on the other side and change those bolts as well. I've also changed put a couple of zip ties on the injector rail, and inspecting it, when they've done the engine swap, they have put new injectors in, which is good because that's what caused the old engine to blow up in the first place. That's also a common issue. So another job done, one less thing for us to do. Nathan's just doing the opposite bank. While he's doing that, we've got the other apprentice involved. He is changing the air filters in the air boxes while we're at it. We've got some man filters to go in, which is the same as genuine. Whilst they're out, we're going to give the inside of the air boxes a clean because they get covered in dust. So we're just going to clean that whole air box. We use a cleaner from Toolbox Cleaning Company to do that. We use that to clean the engine bays as well. Really good company, good products. So the air box, nice and clean, ready to go in. Good job of changing them because they're dirty. You can see the comparison to the new ones. Get the air box built up, do the other side. Nathan's just torquing that into spec. What's the torque setting on that, Nath?
22 newton meters.
22 newton meters. Really important that you always torque spark plugs. Reese is doing the other side airbox, cleaning it off. And then we'll clean both airboxes before we refit to the car. So as we're going as well, we'll be cleaning everything as we go. Get the engine bay a bit more neat and tidy. So from last video, this clip, which looks like nothing, but it's quite important, stops this pipe moving, which connects to the thermostat. And I can't tell you how delicate that thermostat is. It's so easy to break off. So this just keeps that pipe a bit sturdier. So if you have a look at it, that goes in there, that goes in there. And that's it. And that just, so if you look here now, it's probably going back to the first and second video. So that now clips in there, goes through there and straight to that. So that's nice and secure. Right, spark plugs all done, air filters done, air boxes are all clean and tidy. As I said before, we use Toolbox cleaning products. Got to clean the engine bay. We do this after most services, especially on the AMG stuff. And Mike, the owner of Toolbox Company, has given us a promo code for everyone. So promo code is SPR15. Obviously we get 15% off. And I'll leave the link below. So thanks, Mike. It's a UK company. Really good stuff. He's a mechanic himself, so the stuff's tried and tested. We use it on our tools, torches, impact guns, all sorts. So you'll see what this looks like afterwards anyway. So thanks, Mike. A couple of minute wipe down. You can see it's a lot more presentable. And this isn't something that someone's just said use that, by the way. We've been using this stuff for years, so you can actually see on my Instagram how long I've been using it. Plugs, air filters, done. We change the oil next, I suppose. Oh, it's tight. Oh, somebody's definitely not taught that in. That's supposed to be 25 newton meters. So I'll guarantee when you take this out, which we won't do now because it'll leak everywhere, I bet the filter's crushed. Get the oil draining. A lot of people, when they service these, don't drain the oil cooler, which has a drain on it, so you should always drain that as well. I can tell you now, that doesn't look like it's ever been undone. So we're going to drain the oil out of that as well. So what we're going to do is a little experiment. We are going to drain the oil cooler into a little measuring jug, just to see how much you get out of it. Like I say, a lot of people don't do this, but you should. So let that drain, let the big sump drain. You can see how much you get out, and a lot comes out.
Like that then.
Right, new filter, genuine. Just got to give the housing a clean out as well, same time. Again, a bit of grease on the seal so it goes in easier. So drain plugs are back in, sump and oil cooler drained, and we have got just over half a litre out of the oil cooler. Total capacity on this car's 8.5 litres, so we're going to put in 8 litres to start with. Nathan's pouring the oil back in. This engine takes 8.5 litres, so I always put 8 in and just put a bit more to check it and work my way up. They are a bit temperamental, these, to check the oil on them. So 8 litres to start with, should be 8.5 total. Okay, as I thought, 8 litres in, it's just at the bottom of the dipstick, so another half a litre will get us where we need to be. Oil stayed nice and clear, so that's good. And we've discovered the coolant leak problem. So I'm gonna have to pull the water pump off and see what's going on. Not sure if you can see that, but we've found the coolant leak. It's leaking from the top of the water pump. I don't know if that is a gasket issue or the pump itself. It's right at the top and I've just caught it leaking out. You can see it bubbling away in the corner there. Right, back underneath the car, we are going to do a gearbox service. If you remember from the last video, it's obviously all badly corroded and we want to service the gearbox anyway. We filled it up with fluid to get the car moving, so it'll have a bit of a flush as well. So it'll be interesting to see what colour the fluid is when we take it back out. At the same time, we are going to service the diff oil. Really, you should always do that at the same time as your gearbox. It's something that gets neglected a bit, really. Top tip as well, always undo your fill screw first, because if for whatever reason you can't get that out and you've already drained your oil, you've got no oil in your car, in the diff, so you're stuck. So Nathan's took that out. He's going to undo the drain. You can see already how the colour of that fluid's not great. Fuck's sake. Yeah, that's not a good colour, is it?
No.
And that's why you should always do your diff at the same time. So let that drain. Whilst that's draining, we'll get on with the gearbox. Just gonna see what colour the oil is coming out, seeing as though we only filled it up, but we have done a road test, so.
Yeah, hanging.
Remember when it went in, it was literally cherry red. That is black straight away, so that's why we wanted to fill it up, drive it and flush it out. Right, we've took the sump pan off and the overflow pipe that's on there. There's one floating around in there. So that's just been floating around in the sump. So good job we're doing this. You can see how dirty the filter is there. If you look at the fill tube, that's what colour it should be. It should be a nice cherry red. So another job I'm glad we're doing. But yeah, you don't want 2 drain tubes hanging around in your sump. But we'd have never known that unless we're taking it off. Look at that colour of that. New straws on the new sump, new gasket, cleaned the magnets. I should have shown how much crap was on them really, but I didn't. You can see the old filter in there compared to the new. So you can see how contaminated it is. That will be nice, and that should be silver underneath there. You can see it all there. So that's why gearbox servicing is important, even though it is neglected at the same time. It works just as hard, if not harder, than your engine. So I think it's due every 4 years or every 40,000 mile on these. And I'd do the diff at the same time. Then you know you're covered. Let's get it all back together. Also, might be worth adding, the bolts for the brackets are one-time use. They stretch. They are stretch bolts. So when you do a gearbox service, you've got to replace and fit with new. So we always replace all them when we service a gearbox. Another quick top tip, when you are servicing the gearbox, sometimes you have to drop this bracket down and remove the earth strap. So before you bolt it all back up, I just give it a clean up with sandpaper, clean up the terminal and where it bolts to, because it's an old car, you've undone it anyway, why not give it a clean before you put it back on? Give yourself a bit of a better earth. You've got it unbolted anyway. Right, back on the diff, 75 140s, MB spec 235.61. Believe it or not, that is what Mercedes supply. It does not come in a Merc bottle. We're going to pour as much in as we can, squeezing it in because it's faster, and then we might have to get the pump. I think, from memory, it's about 1.5 litres you need. Again, you can buy this on our website. Also, it's probably worth showing you the colour of fluid that come out. I'll just tip a bit out, what colour it should be. It's pretty much see-through. Nice clear fluid. So this is definitely a neglected diff and gearbox. So I'm glad we're doing it. Nathan's just torquing up the fill and drain plug on the diff, 50 Newton meters. Gearbox is all filled up, new sump is on. We have corrected the level on that. There's a little bit of a procedure to get the level correct on that, which we didn't film because it's a bit boring. That's it. So jobs left to do: prop coupling, water leak or coolant leak, and brake fluid. Right, back on the C63, we are replacing the prop shaft coupling because it's split in certain places. So we'll get that replaced with a brand new one. Genuine unit. See how that's got perfect. New bolt set. Nathan's going to mark it up so the prop shaft goes back exactly in the same position to the diff as it was. Doesn't really make a difference, but why not? Get it changed out.
Got the old prop shaft coupling off, as you can see. Loads of splitting, perishing going on. Definitely needs replacing. Just as a comparison, there's a brand new one side by side. See how much it's worn, no splits.
So the new prop shaft coupling is in. Nathan's just tightening it all up. New bolts, and that's another job done. Right, that concludes part 3. We wanted to get loads more done, but we basically ran out of time, and we don't want to make the videos too long. So you see the car behind me. We wanted to get all mechanical stuff finished for that one, but unfortunately we haven't. So there's going to be a lot on more parts to this project than we initially thought. So more content.